Rights Reserved 2024. As a life coach, I don't provide psychological or medical assistance. For such issues, please consult a qualified professional. Hi, welcome to So Basic with a Little Extra. If we haven't met yet or you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Anna Zugari. And my mission for this podcast is to share a basic story to give you a little extra inspiration, a little extra encouragement, or an extra laugh. So, by how many words have you increased your emotional vocabulary? If you haven't tried that yet, go back to the last episode and download the vocabulary PDF. So helpful. Today, we're going to go over the second component that we need to look out for when we want to have a healthy mind, the brain. I wonder why don't we talk about the brain as much as we do about other organs in our body? I mean, like, don't wait until there's something wrong with our brain to check it. I think brain scans should be a regular thing in someone's life, like a mammogram or a colonoscopy. I mean, not like every year, but maybe midlife or every 10 years. I feel that we don't pay enough attention to our brains like we do to our stomach or an arm, a leg. Here's my so basic story. For the longest time, I mean years and years, I suffer from migraines. They intensified a lot after I had my second baby. The pain was so bad that I couldn't move or open my eyes. I tried all and every remedy I heard of. So several doctors who gave me medications that had awful side effects. So awful that sometimes I didn't even know what was worse, the migraine or the side effect. Thankfully, about 5 years ago, I finally found a neurologist who took the time to listen and care. She is great. Let me know if you want her information. She does televisits. She was the only one who was assertive about the medication that has worked for me. But the extra story is that she sent me for a brain scan. And wow, you guys, that was super a crazy experience. Have you ever had a CT scan? I remember that day the tech, he was prepping me. He asked me if I was scared of enclosed spaces, which I don't think I am. But after he gave me the instructions and he went on and on how other people get super freaked out because it's super loud and the lights and well, it was on and on and on. I got scared. So it took me a little bit to get in there. It was so embarrassing. Here's the basic thing. I looked at the results. They gave me a DVD to take back to my doctor. And as anyone would do, I got home and watched it. Oh my gosh. It was real. Looking at my own brain, the activity recorded and all. The good news is that I'm not crazy. The notes the tech made said normal, so I'll take that. By the way, did you know that there is a town in Illinois called Normal? So if you want to feel normal, just go there. Anywho, maybe because people freak out getting into the machines, that is the reason why brain scans are not so regular. Okay, maybe because they are mega expensive. But really, they should be a regular thing. After learning from a few books and Grey's Anatomy, the TV show, I believe there are so many benefits to having a brain scan. The thing is that nowadays, not only it will be helpful for our primary care physician to catch anything weird going on, but it also will be helpful for our psychiatrists. There are behavioral issues that can be solved by looking at our brains. Yeah, lots of behavioral issues that we don't speak or know about. I remember at a mother daughter retreat, the speaker, share with us that a human does not have a fully developed brain until their mid 20s, and that some of our bad decisions in our teenage years are attributed to that, not having a full developed brain. I can testify to that. After that retreat, I became a lot more compassionate to my daughter. Here is an extra true story to my basic story. Dr. Amen, a very well known psychiatrist and physician, tells the story on his book, Change Your Brain Every Day, which, by the way, I strongly recommend, told the story of his nephew, a teenage boy who, out of nowhere, during a family gathering, started attacking a little girl and continued to behave in a very aggressive manner for a while. He decided to take him in for a brain scan. It happened that he had a cyst the size of a golf ball that was pressing parts of the brain that provoked that aggressive behavior. Once the cyst was removed, he went back to his normal behavior. Isn't that great? In my journey to take the control of my well being, I have learned a lot of things that we can do to take care of our brains. Very simple things, but important ones. Alzheimer's and dementia run in my family. As my mother grows older, I see the struggles and challenges she faces, as well as us, the ones around her. I thank God so much for allowing me to learn these things now, to be intentional about taking care of my brain as much as I am doing with other parts of my body. Dr. Amen, as well as other psychiatrists I listen to, agree with the idea that just because any kind of illnesses runs in your family does not determine your future. And I love it that God says the same thing. So even to old age and gray hair, oh God, do not forsake me until I proclaim your might to another generation, your power to all those to come. Psalm 71:18. Isn't that wonderful? That brings me so much peace because I think of my daughters. So, because fate requires action, what can we do to prolong the life of our brains? Yeah, because he also says that our body can represent an age and our brain a completely different one. I am close to turning 50, and my goal is that my body looks like 40 and my brain works as if I was 30. Young but not dumb. Here's the extra thing. Remember how on the last episode we talked about emotions? Well, it so happens that emotions not only involve our thoughts and reactions for our body, they also have a lot to do with the chemicals in our brain. Wait, what? Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've never stopped and thought about it. Depending on the kind of emotion you're experiencing, your brain creates a chemical. Some are good and some not so much. Well, depending on the situation. I love how Marianne Rojas Estapé talks about a particular one, cortisol, the stress hormone. She explains in one of her teachings that we need cortisol, but if we don't do certain things, our brains can produce an excessive amount of cortisol that can make our lives practically miserable. The fascinating thing is that she also says that our brain can tell what's real from what is not. And a stressful situation may not even be happening, but just with the thought of it raises our cortisol levels. How crazy is that? So, I want to share with you something super basic that has helped me and hopefully will help you too to learn and maybe dig a little bit more into this information and start taking care of your own brain and do what is helpful for your health. So, let's talk basic chemicals. Cortisol, the stress hormone. It is a cyclical hormone that is high during the day to help us face challenges, and it needs to go down during the night so we are able to go to sleep. It is also called the stress hormone because it creates the fight, flight, or freeze reaction. It is also good and helpful because God put it there in a natural way. But it is a terrible thing to have it in excess. Dr. Rojas says it is kind of like this. Nowadays, we live intoxicated by cortisol. This hormone is supposed to help us run from tigers in the caveman times. It's supposed to help us survive. But now it seems that we live in a very stressful world that everyone is walking around with high levels of cortisol. Does that sound about right? I think so. She also says that cortisol creates inflammation and cardiovascular diseases. I strongly believe it. Just go to the store and look around. People's bellies, for the most part, look inflamed. Now, don't stare, okay? So, yes, how are your cortisol levels? By the way, there are some simple tests that your doctors can run to check out your cortisol levels. Here's the extraordinary thing. God is such a generous and wonderful creator that he thought of everything. He says, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. Philippians 4:4. He cares so much about our health that he tells us how. Rejoice. He also gave us the happiness chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. I like to use the acronym DOSE, DOSE, to remember them and to take a daily dose of each. In a super basic way, this is what each one of those do. Dopamine. It is the reward chemical. You can get it by completing a task, doing self-care activities, eating food, celebrating little wins. Oxytocin is the love hormone. You can get it by playing with your dog, playing with a baby, holding hands, hugging a loved one, giving or receiving a compliment. Serotonin, it's the mood stabilizer. You can get it by meditating, running, sun exposure, walk in nature, exercising. Endorphins, the painkiller. You can get it by laughing, using essential oils, dark chocolate, or exercising. Yep, it's that simple. I get that doing all this thing is no news, but my basic understanding on how each one of these things affect our body and our behavior changes everything. Yes, because the lack of these things has an upside down effect. A deficiency of those causes procrastination, low self esteem, inability to focus, mood swings, depression, insomnia, stress, anxiety, aches and pains, impulsive behavior, and the list goes on and on. Wait, we're not done. Another super important thing I have learned is that our brain is made out of 75% water, which means that dehydration has a huge impact on keeping a healthy brain. A dehydrated brain can cause changes in memory and attention. So, how much water are you drinking? And it gets better. Sleeping. This is another big one. My basic story on sleeping is that I get to be more creative in the evenings. I used to actually plan, prepare, and record my podcast in the evenings, most nights staying up until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I know, not a very smart thing to do, as our family tasks begin around 5:45 in the morning. A good night's sleep is a vital practice to regenerate the chemicals in our brain. Keeping a schedule will help our body to do just that. My phone, which it used to be a weapon for the devil to keep me up watching reels and YouTube videos, is now one of my allies. In keeping me in check, I set my health app to remind me of my bedtime. It goes into sleep mode automatically. It has my morning alarm programmed as well. I love that it gives me a warning 30 minutes before my bedtime. Time to unwind, it says. Another thing that has worked for me like a charm is taking 400 milligrams of magnesium at bedtime. For what I understand, magnesium has a lot of benefits for your body, and I am starting to experience it. But the basic ones for me is that it relaxes the muscles and provides me a better sleep. I have noticed the change of how it would take me a long time to fall asleep. And since I started taking it, I just put my head on the pillow and voila. So make sure you check with your doctor first if this is a good supplement for you, okay? I also stopped drinking coffee after 2 p.m. I used to do that because I was getting super sleepy, obviously, for the reasons I mentioned before. And, you know, even though taking naps are suggested, it didn't feel like I was resting enough. Now I have established my dose and reduced my glucose spikes in my sugar levels, which brings me to what about sugar? Oh, this is a whole other podcast. The insane amount of information I am learning about the impact of sugar on our bodies is super eye opening. But here, in a super basic way, I implore you to lower your intake of sugar. Sugar has a very similar reaction in our brain as a dopamine does. So yes, you can literally get high on sugar. But like any other drug, you will suffer the consequences when the effect runs out. You will crave more sugar every 2 hours. You will get super sleepy and tired when the effects go down. You will get inflamed, foggy mind, and a lot of other horrible symptoms. It has been said that sugar is even more addicting than cocaine. Imagine that. I am on my 60-day journey of lifestyle change, and I can surely testify that reducing my intake of sugar has been super hard, especially at the beginning. I had ridiculous withdrawals that caused me like a whole new level of anxiety. It was hard. But now that I am almost on the other side, I cannot be more extra by inviting you to try it and break free from those chains that the enemy has placed on us. Remember, God is with you. By the way, here are some verses that help me go through those hard moments. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. For God gave me a spirit not to fear, but to power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. And my favorite one, because you are my helper, I will rejoice in the shadow of your wings. Psalm 63:7. Your brain today. Who are you going to get your oxytocin from? How much water are you going to add to your daily intake? Remember, the Lord rejoices with small beginnings. One little change today can change the course of the rest of your life by reducing inflammatory and mental diseases. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I'm leaving you with an extra dose of encouragement and inspiration for you to start taking care of yourself in a more healthy way. To love Jesus, obey Jesus, and tell everyone about him. By the way, I want to invite you to increase your dose this starting March 1st. I will start a 30-day mindset challenge. Spend 5 minutes with me every day in a private Facebook group where we will challenge ourselves to reset our minds. My hope is that at the end of the 30 days, we have created healthy habits that will improve our mindsets and hopefully lead us to make bigger changes in our lifestyles, to be a healthier person in a physical, spiritual, and emotional aspect. I will place a link in the show notes for you to register. It's completely free. The only catch is for you to help me to get the word out there. The more the merrier. You can also go to my Facebook page, Faith52, and get more details. Until next time, may you walk in faith and abundance. Take care, and God bless you.